Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. I believe I have a whole bunch of videos that I'm going to drop. I don't know in which order, so this will be the first one that I'm recording, but I'm pretty sure this will be dropped maybe 4th or 5th, I don't know. But I decided to record a game and then just kind of go over my thoughts. I know some of you guys like videos like this, so I figured I'd throw one out there. Maybe I'll do like a couple of games where I just go over little things that I'm thinking of during a game. All right, so I'll just get right into it. This is online, ranked. I'm not doing Ultimate Team this year. I think I'm just going to do ranked. Anyways, he comes out in single back ace close. Oh, let me turn the volume down on that. It's pretty bad. And you guys know I've made videos on this where when I get people who want to play in like close type sets, I like to play single high. All right, I have videos on this. I believe 2 years ago I dropped a 3-part series on dealing with gun tight type sets, and that's where I kind of go over what I'm speaking of here. All right, so when they tuck in the formation like this, right, when the formation is completely condensed, usually it's because they're trying to break out. Right, they bring the formation in because they want more space to run routes to the outside. So this is where I like to run a middle of the field closed type defense, like cover 3 or cover 1 type defenses, because, you know, if you think about it like cover 1, if you think about the divider rules in cover 1, you know, if, let's say I'm man-to-man on this receiver, all right, well, with divider rules, check out my video on cover 1, you know, your leverage depends on where the receiver is relative to the divider. All right, so if he's inside, let's just say he's outside the divider. All right, if he's outside the divider, well then me as the corner, I'm going to play with inside leverage. Okay, so that's a common misconception when it comes to cover 1. People think, let's say this receiver was aligned out here, and we're the corner here. People think, well, you know, we're in cover 1. Let's say we have a whole player in the middle as well. We should play with outside leverage because our help is to the inside. The problem is that help to the inside is too far away to really affect the play with you playing with outside leverage, right? So, you know, a quarterback could 3-step drop, rip it in there, and this guy would just never be able to make the play on this throw while you're playing with outside leverage on that, all right? So this is where Nick Saban came up with the divider rule, where there's imaginary lines on the field. It's relative to where the ball is, so this may be not correct. Maybe with the ball on the hash, it's more out here, but it's just an example. You know, with this receiver, let's say he's outside the divider. Instead of us playing with outside leverage, we're going to play with inside leverage because our help will be the sideline. And obviously, there's less space for him to run to the outside. If he runs inside, we're playing really hard inside leverage on that, knowing that the inside help isn't going to have enough time to really make a play on, you know, a throw to the inside. I think Nick Saban, he went over how he said Jerry Rice would just kill people in his heyday on like the skinny post because they'd be playing cover 1 and they'd be playing with outside leverage because, hey, I have a deep middle post safety, right? But that skinny post, the safety would just never be able to make it on those throws. I wish I could have tagged the video here, right? And it's also relative too. So let's say the divider is here. And let's say receiver is here, and we're the corner, and we're playing with inside leverage. If he takes like an inside release, and then he comes up, in this situation, you're inside leverage, right? But once he crosses the divider, now you want to play with outside leverage because now you have help to the inside here, right? It would be an issue to think about it. Man, I'm so bad. Corner. So we're playing with correct leverage. Let's say at the snap of the ball, you know, just some wacky route, gets inside, and you maintain inside leverage, right? Because, hey, I'm outside the divider, I got to play with inside leverage, right? Well, now look at all the space he can run it back out to the outside, like a burst type corner route, right? It's all relative. So in an issue like that where you maintain proper leverage despite him crossing the divider, Let's put one here and let's put the corner. Inside leverage, right? Comes inside. Burst corner, right? All right, I'm supposed to be inside leverage. Okay, crosses the divider, so now I'm outside leverage. And then he comes back to the outside, right? You would be in better position to make a play on this ball. As opposed to you maintaining inside leverage the whole time, and now he bursts to the outside, it's just wide open. I know that drawing, hopefully it made a lot of sense there. If not, definitely go check out my video on cover 1 where I get into that. And I'm pretty sure there's other videos from other content creators that go over that, all right? So I said all that to say I think I play cover 3 cloud. I like to play cover 3 cloud or cover 3 buzz match against closed sets because, again, it's a middle of the field closed defense. But what I like about cover 3 cloud and cover 3 buzz match is that we still maintain the illusion of a double high safety defense. I really don't like showing that we're in single high pre-snap a lot of the times. I like to at least give the illusion that we could be in some type of double high. Okay, and then we just kind of rock down into our single high. This would be buzz, but cover 3 cloud, we kind of stay over the top and he rolls over the cloud here, right? So anyways, this is an example. I went all that and I'm not even going over what I really wanted to show in this play is how, notice how I like to play the outer shell of the coverage. A lot of players, you can kind of tell what defense a player is not playing based upon who he uses, right? So think about it. If you think about like cover 2 zone, cloud flat, right? If I were to ask you which one of these players is the least likely for the user to user, right? Think about it now. It would be these two guys, right? And let's see if we could come up with a common theme. Let's do cover 3 zone. Say he's rocking down, right? Okay. If I were to ask you which one of these players is the least likely for the user to user, based upon, you know, just a general consensus, it would be these 3 players, right? And the common theme is because they are the outer shell of the coverage. People are just not comfortable playing with these players. And the reason why is because, again, as a user, you like to be a lot more aggressive and play in the muck. And if you're wrong on a particular route, let's say you are the deep middle third safety in cover 3, and you use this player, you have something coming over the middle, and you drive on the route, and this guy is running a deep post, this is a wide open touchdown. People don't like to play with the outer shell of the coverage, and I think that kind of limits your versatility as a player in the game, because I think you can do a lot of unique things if you do get comfortable playing with the outer shell. So here, I'm playing the cloud defense, but I'm using the outer shell of the coverage. And what I like to do this because I can actually add an extra defender to defend on the run in a situation where usually you should not be doing that, right? Because as the outer shell of the coverage, you should not have a run fit. Okay, and things like cover 4 quarters, the inside safeties, they do have run fits. Okay, and that's where you can get into like RPO glance routes because you're putting pressure on a third level defender who's involved in the run. Maybe I'll make a video on that. All right. But as the outer shell of the coverage, you know, if I wasn't this player and I was someone else, the computer's just going to drift off into space. They're not going to be hard fit on the run. And they're right in that because they are outer shell of the coverage. But we have the benefit of reading the defense, right? So who do you think, if we're going to try to help out in the run, despite us being the outer shell of the coverage, we need to make sure that it's not play action and that we don't get fooled on a play action type pass. So what I like to do is, as the outer shell, who do you think I'm reading in this play to determine if it's a run or a pass? Okay. Now, if you say the running back, you know, again, this is all opinion based. I wouldn't agree with that. If you look at the quarterback action, I wouldn't agree with that as well. What I like to do is I like to look at the tight end on the LOS. And it's very easy because if at the snap of the ball, he comes in to block this guy, well, now, very high likelihood, I would say around 95%, it's a run, right? So now we don't have to drift off into space to play our outer shell coverage responsibility. We can kind of help out in the box. And when you think about that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, originally we would have. Did I count? Did I miscount somebody? I did. 8. Interior, we really have 7 run fit defenders with the outer cloud. All right. But now we can add an additional run fit defender in a situation where we really should not have this defender. Because again, we're unique in the fact that we are the user and we can do a number of different things, right? So right here, I know it's a run now, right? So I don't have to wait until he hands the ball off. I don't have to wonder if he's going to roll out on a pass. I know it's a run because he's coming in to hard block on our defensive end. So now I can crash down and help out in the run, right? I did all that and I really didn't affect the play, but just giving you insight in how I look at things in regards to who you user can change the effectiveness of a defense, right? So I noticed this guy's staying in this close set. I don't remember what happened here, but okay, right here, right? Is this a run or a pass? Right, I'm in the same defense. Run or pass? You know, well, this is a pass, right? Because he's dropping off into a pass set. Or if he was running up the field, I would know it's a pass. So right here in the drop, I know it's a pass. Okay. And, you know, obviously I see clear out action coming this way. So it's just a little nugget. I mean, you know, to me, it really helps out when, you know, I kind of want to add a little bit of beef in the run game in regards to run fits. So, okay, here we get into me kind of noticing, you know, a common theme of my opponent. And this is where you kind of, again, you know, your first drive is really a scouting report because we don't have that. We don't know what our opponent is going to do. It's not like the league where we have a whole, you know, 12 weeks worth of tape on our opponent, right? We're playing them for the first time, right? So your first drive is really a scouting report. You kind of get a feel for what they like to do. And this is what I noticed. He would come out in doubles, HB weak, and he's going to run the whip action from the number 2 here. So this is where I notice it, all right? So, okay, duly noted, right? The game is all about adjusting. Okay, so right away, I'm already adjusting. Let me back up. So I believe what I did. All right. So I got a feeling you're going to do this again. So what can we do to create a big play potential on something like this, right? Because earlier we showed single high, we were in single high, and he ran this action, and obviously it was wide open. I think we were in cover 3 cloud, or I can't remember what defense, but we were in a single high show type defense. All right, so now I know when you see this type of look, you like to run this action from this type of set. So what we can do is what I was thinking here is, well, how about, you know, you may say, okay, let's play cover 2, right? Or we have the corner who can drive on this on the outside. And someone may call cover 2 to do that. The problem is, well, now you're going to come out in a double high look, and it's not the same because when he comes out in this formation, he wants to run this, but he's going to see double high, right? And maybe the reason why he ran this whip action is because he saw single high, right? You got to present the same look so he can run to his same bag of tools, right? So, you know, in this instance, I want to show the exact same thing so you can run the same action. So what I do is, this is where, you know, we kind of get the real benefit of disguising coverage, where we use the shell option in pre-snap call, and I make it to where the pre-snap shell is cover 3, but then I call cover 2 from that shell, right? So it may look like we're in cover 3 as we did before where you ran this whip action, right? But in actuality, we are actually in cover 2. And I'm going to roll the safety over the top. Now, where is the cons or the weakness of us doing this, right? There's a weakness to everything. Well, the weakness is we are out of position. Okay? Mainly this safety, right? In a traditional cover 2 where he's deep half, he's really further outside so he can be in better position to play his deep half responsibility. Now he's tucked in the middle of the field, so there's more grass for him to cover his side of the field. But that's just one of the cons of disguising coverage, right? If you get caught with your hands in the cookie jar, you run into a competent opponent, they can really punish you with something like this, where maybe they run something like a deep post, deep fade, and they put a lot of stress on this safety, where he's kind of cooked on this honey hole shot, right? And I would definitely throw something into the flat to kind of, because I wouldn't want this corner to kind of sink with that, right? So, okay, so as a defense, how can you tell that I actually did this, right? I mean, it's all, how can I know this, and how can he know this, and how can you counter this, and how, it's all just a chess match, right? So how can he tell? Well, it's all about post snap reading here, right? I'm going to show you here. Right here, right? So when he snaps the ball, and he's running the action again, right? What you can do is, well, eye the corner, right? This corner, the way he's sitting kind of flat, immediately should yell at you that this is not cover 3, right? Because an outer shell type corner is never going to sit flat like this. If he's sitting flat like this, it's because he has help over the top, which should alert you to know that someone is rolling over the top, and this is not cover 3. This was some type of disguise coverage, right? But obviously he didn't see this. He threw it, and that should be an interception, right? So we fooled our opponent with the disguise feature because we kind of understood that, hey, when he sees a particular look from a particular formation, he likes to check into this whip out from the number 2. So how can we disguise, or how can we fool him? Do exactly what we just did. Show the same look, but we're running a coverage to where the outside receiver can drive on this. Unfortunately, one of the best corners in the game decides to drop the ball, right? So that's just a missed opportunity there. But again, it's still worth dropping information on. We'll move on. I believe we get an interception here because I have it in the notes here at the bottom right. I don't remember what happened. I hate to do this. Let's go back just a little bit. See, I don't know what I called. I should have put that in here. I don't know why he didn't throw that. Oh, I call cover 9. I remember now. I call cover 9. And I believe the number 2 on the weak side did not run a route to threaten the safety. So we have our number 2 here, and we have our number 1, right? Deep half. So I think he runs something inside, which allows him to kind of hinge inside in between the hash and the numbers and help out on this route here. So I won't go into deep detail about this. That's exactly what happens. Hangs in the middle there and picks it off. We'll just go ahead and move on. What do we got here? So I finally ran into my playbook guys. I'm going to run the Washington. Oh, looks like we got to cover 0 blitz here. And you can see my notes here. Bad scheme. Oh, I remember this. I'm going to end up throwing in an interception at some point. All right, so, okay, so you may say, well, you threw an interception against a bad scheme. What are you talking about? All right, well, I'm going to show you, right? So this is obviously a cover 0 look, right? Man-to-man across the board. And this is, guys, this is exactly what I've always been talking about, right? Where prior Maddens, obviously this Madden is not perfect, right? Not even close. But it's way better. It's not even close, right? Where in prior Maddens, players would get away with, excuse my language, just dumb shit, right? They would just get away with some of the stupidest things because the game is just kind of like not right in the way things should work, right? And I'll never forget, I think it was like a Madden 22 or Madden 21, where the meta was where you would call cover 0, right? And then you would take some of these blitzing players and turn them into curl flats. And then in the option menu where you can change the drops of the curl flats, you would change it to 20, 25, 30 yards. Okay? And maybe like hook curls underneath. Okay? And I remember making a video, I believe, where you look at something like that and I would ask you, okay, where's the weakness in a coverage like that? The weakness against cover zero is the deep middle of the field. There is no middle safety, right? Okay? And the way a cover zero type defense can be exploited is attacking the deep middle of the field. The problem with attacking the deep middle of the field against cover zero is the fact that, well, they're blitzing, right? They're bringing more than what you can block. And they're hinging on the fact that you just will not have enough time to have a route develop to make a big time throw down the deep middle of the field. That's what cover zero is all about, trying to dictate that you have to get rid of the ball quick. They want you to make mistakes, right, etc. Well, what players were doing with this type of meta defense in Madden 21, Madden 22, or whatever it is essentially what they were doing is they were amplifying the weakness of cover zero and then taking away its strength. The strength of cover zero is the fact that you get pressure, right? And the weakness is cover zero. Well, you amplify the weakness of cover zero when you take away the rush. They were playing cover zero with no rush, right? That's a horrible scheme. But they were getting, the reason why they were getting away with it in that Madden is because the deep post could not beat one-on-one coverage. It just could not beat it. I don't care what post you called in whatever Madden that was. One-on-one coverage would just shut down the deep post. It was just wrong, right? Well, they finally fixed it to where deep posts actually are pretty solid at beating one-on-one coverage, especially cover zero, right? So, again, this is where if you had tape on a player, if I saw tape on this guy, watched him 12 of his games, I would know that he's doing this. I wouldn't have done what I did, right? So here I actually was going for the deep middle of the field and I was expecting pressure, right? So I'm looking down the field. We got our post. We whip it in there and he drops the ball, which is pretty annoying, right? So we have two big drops, one on the offensive side, one on the defensive side. So that really pissed me off. And I didn't notice in that play that they were peeling out. So it wasn't really cover zero. It was cover zero without the rush, right? Which is horrible. So here, this is where I checked in the full slide. There's so much to talk about with football, guys. So like full slide is, you never want to use full slide as your base protection. Full slide is, you only really want to use it against in your quick game. 3-step drop, 1-step drop, especially against blitz, right? And it's because, again, you're getting the full slide here, and then your back is picking up the backside like defensive end. Okay, and obviously that's a bad matchup with the running back on a defensive end type for obvious reasons. But the reason why you're not really too concerned about that when you're running the full side protection is because the ball's coming out quick. This guy's not going to get there anyways, right? And what they primarily do with the backside is they do a cut block. And I believe they do that in the game as well when you call full slide, right? So there are reasons why you may check in the full slide as opposed to half slide and empty and base and all that. Maybe I'll make a video on that. So this was my plan. I was going to do full slide, so I know I'm good here. I know I'm not really worried about here. I'm just going to run quick game against this cover zero because it was 2nd and 10. I wanted to pick up yards, right? So I believe I ran an out from the number 2, and lo and behold, I throw it, and when I saw this, when I threw this, obviously I'm first of all, I'm oh no. And then secondly, I'm why are you there, right? And that's when I noticed, he's doing the cover zero, and because I saw Micah Parsons, right? He's doing the cover zero, turn everyone out underneath into zones, right? Which is a horrible scheme, theoretically. So that's fine. We throw a pick six. Well, actually, that's not fine. I'm really irritated whenever I throw a pick six. But that's just something you throw in, the mental banks, right? So, okay, here we go, right? It worked. That's what he's thinking. I'm just going to run it all game. That's my style, right? So what does this mean? Well, this means now we don't have to worry about pressure at all. And we can attack the deep middle of the field without being hurried about it, right? So I believe I still checked into my pass protection. I did. So I believe, half slide left. So we get 4 on 4 here, big on big. I believe I put him into a check release. I made a video on the dual read, guys, where when you do dual read, it will automatically change whatever route the running back is into his 1 to 2 dual read. But after their patch update in College 25, when you do half slide, he will not check into dual read. You have to manually turn him into a block and release. So keep that in mind, right? So I half slide left, and we get this. And I know you're big on big. And then I turn my back into block and release, knowing that I'm 1 to 2 here. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that if both of these guys come, well, then I'm hot off of this defender. However, if this guy gets out into coverage, then I know, I don't care what this player does, I know I'm good in protection. Because if he comes, the back's going to look at one's out into coverage, okay, good, I'll pick up 2, right? It's one of the benefits of the dual read, right? Because in prior Maddens, where if you had it something like this, big on big, 1 to 2, well, it was no dual read. So if you put the block and release on this back, and he was just checking to see if this guy came, if this guy went out into a route, well, then I'm going out into a route, and he would not check for the number 2, right? So that would put more pressure on you as the quarterback to snap the ball looking at this player. Actually, you would just look at him. And if he came, you would know that he's not going to get picked up. I don't care if he goes out in the coverage, right? Because you don't have a dual read back. But pass protection is a lot better now in Madden. You know what? And what's crazy is I do have to check if the dual read is in the game. I've been assuming that it's in there because College 25 and Madden 25 are pretty close in coding, right? So silly me for saying this, but I believe it is in the game because I remember seeing something in an earlier game today where, you know, the dual read was like this, and this guy went out and he turned and he picked up the blitz, right? So we make our throw, and that time I pressed X as opposed to square because I pressed square last time and he dropped the ball, right? So there we see, you know, if I would have threw it in stride, he could have caught it and went straight upfield. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Move on. So I believe I scored. And I don't remember what happened here because I don't. Okay, so this is another example. I think I'm in cover 3 cloud. I am. So again, this is another example where, you know, I outer shell the coverage. And what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, if they were run this way, we have 7 run fit defenders. But when we're playing this player, we can actually add another player to the mix, right? And we're just reading the tight end. Right there, I know it's a run, right? So, you know, we get good upfield by our right end there. Upfield action. And he's doing it again, right? So I believe when I saw this formation, I believe I'm playing cover 2 again with the single high shell look, right? Our corner is sitting. The problem is, and I didn't notice it until now, is that because he's on the hash and he's running this to the field side, there's more grass here. So yeah, he's running the whip into a cloud corner, but there's just more space for him to fit it in there, right? Which is why we're not able to get there in time with the corner. It's one of the benefits of, you know, running the strength of your passing strength or your passing strength into the field, right? One of the many different examples. See, this is into the hash. This is probably a good clip here, right? So he's running it again. He's running double HB weak, but this time he puts the passing strength on the short side of the field. And now we will see a major difference. We are running the same exact defense. Single high look, but we're playing cover 2 with a hard flat, expecting him to run this out, right? But now he's on the right hash, and the strength is on the short side of the field. And look at the major difference as opposed to the last play, right? He can't throw that. See, before, the quarterback here and the whip coming here, there's more space to fit the ball in, right, with the receiver here. But now because you're on the short side of the field, less grass, well, now you can't throw this, right? So I believe he probably panicked here because obviously that's his first in the read there. All right, we'll watch it one more time. He just can't throw it, right? And, you know, this is one of the things when you're playing against players who really are only looking at one play. They're not really designing an offense that, you know, really puts players into conflict. They're not thinking about, you know, high-low reads and stuff like this. Because I say this because this guy's wide open. And here we see the weakness of this, right? Went over this earlier where we're playing cover 2, you're supposed to be over the top, but you're so far tucked inside is one of the downsides of disguising coverage. This guy's out of position. He can't make it to the honey hole shot here, right? So he just missed it. It's wide open. All right. Oh, he was running a comeback, but he still should have threw it, right? So get a big hit, and we'll move on. I want to ask, do one of you guys know how to check your record online in head-to-head and all that stuff? Because I believe I'm like maybe 21-1, but, you know, I can't check it. You know, I mean, I had to ask one of the friends in my friends list to let me know what's my record, and I don't think he kind of guessed it because he said he saw it earlier, right? I guess he wasn't online or whatever, but I don't. Maybe it's a glitch in the game, but I don't know how you can check your record, all right? Anyways, what's going on here on my keyboard? So, okay, I know what was going on. So we are only up 1, and obviously low time. He's just trying to run the ball now because he just wants to run and get a field goal. And he made a mistake, dove, and we get a fumble. And he was very angry here, saying how bad of a player I am and how the game bails people out. So, oh well. Okay, here's the bad scheme again. Oh, here we go. So now I'm like, here's another thing, guys. Look at these receivers, right? He's on. He's off. On. Off. Okay. Now this not a big thing because we're kind of close set, so it's harder to get like press action here. But over here, it's very important, right? You can run the same route if we were to put him on a slant, right? You could run a slant with him on the LOS against press, and he will have such a hard time getting open. But if he were off the line of scrimmage, he gets open so much easier, right? Being on the LOS and off the LOS drastically changes the receiver's ability to get open in Madden, right? Because there's less space for you to work with when you're on the LOS and they're pressing as opposed to this player, right? The reason why I say that is because obviously we're on the LOS, and I know this, and I know he's playing press cover 0 with, you know, the bad scheme underneath, right? Against real cover 0 where you're bringing more than what we can block, this route would just never get open in time. It's just going to have a hard time fighting the jam. It's going to take forever for him to get off the LOS, climbing upfield. But because I know I'm going to have so much time to wait for it, this is why I threw this in here, right? Again, we are attacking the fact that he is running this terrible scheme where you're playing cover 0 with no rush, right? So I can call a play like this, knowing that this is going to take forever to get open, but when he does get open, it's an easy throw, right? So look, you see how it's, you know, animation, still not open, right? Cover zero's in by now. Free rusher is in. But look at this, right? He's bringing no rush at all. And evidently he thinks this is a good scheme, right? So we just patient, throw it right over the top, and we get a touch. And, you know, he wasn't very happy about that, but it is what it is. Oh, okay, so getting close to the conclusion of this video, he's running it again. So we haven't had much success with the show cover 3 and play cover 2 zone, although we did miss a big interception with it earlier. So I was thinking, okay, is there something else we can run to better defend that action, right? And this is where we just get into cover 3 seam, right? Or cover 3 match. And the reason why is because they play with proper leverage. Okay? So I don't know where, since the ball is here, I would imagine that the divider is more over here. All right. So he's inside. He's going to take all of this guy up and out, right? Well, because you're inside of the divider, I'm going to play with outside leverage. It's one of the benefits of the game in regards to cover 3 seam. They play with proper leverage a lot. So instead of us calling that disguise coverage to where we can get into issues with the safety being out of position, we can just call a defense that is dictated to playing with proper leverage on a route like this. And watch how not open this is. He can't throw it, right? Look how he sat, waited almost, and he's just outside leverage of this. And because you are a player that just relies on that one route from this formation, and because it worked so many times before, you think that it's just open all the time. Obviously, he's just not comfortable getting to his second and third read. We get a sack. We watch it again. And then also another mistake he's making, he's running it from the short side of the field. Right? A lot of players make a lot of these simple mistakes where you can kind of pounce on this and play some of the simplest coverages and just call the right coverage at the right time. This is where I'm getting at. And now he throws a pick. Right? So let's look at the route combination he's got, right? So he's just running the typical drag, mesh type stuff. He's coming in, right? But is one of the benefits of, let's take a look at it, of your help defenders, right? Your help defender is here. So since he's the 3, he's the 2. He's got him. He's got him. He should have him. This guy should be free. It's got to be the guy making the pick. He is, right? I mean, just beautiful stuff. Interception. So, yeah, he had enough. So I guess I will go ahead and leave it at that. But you know, hopefully this gave you just a little bit of insight on some things that I think about during a game. So, you know, those are all the W's. But I don't know, how do you check your records, guys? I just don't get it. I don't know if it's a glitch in the game, but you can check the top 100 and all that, but you can't check your own record, right? I've only lost one time. I think I've played like 25 games. But I really want to see what my record is and compare it to other players. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you guys got something from this video, and I hope you keep coming back for more, man. Peace.